Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're going to be doing something special, talking about the Oath of the Eldritch Hunt Paladin.
Yes.
Sponsored by Steinhardt's Guide to the Eldritch Hunt, which fuses the Soulsborne, Dark Souls, Elden Ring type fantasy lore with
It almost sounds Lovecraftian, would you say?
I would say so. It's kind of that darker feeling campaign setting on here. If you're new to the channel, what we're going to do is rate the roleplay, combat, and synergy of the subclass and how it improves the potential of the base class abilities. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be entered in our D&D Beyond Players Bundle giveaway.
Free stuff is wonderful.
All that being said, let's jump straight into it.
So then keep in mind, anytime we deal with this magical thing called a paladin, we get tenets. And the tenets are a specific guide to what this paladin is going to be about, the rules in it must dwell within and act upon.
There you go.
Within its subclass and class, because you can, all the subclasses in all books have got little blurs about what they're going to be about, but only paladins have true rules for how they're supposed to live by, and they could be punished to become an Oathbreaker paladin if they were to break it.
This is true.
For the tenets for the Eldritch Hunt, it is resolve, respect, and responsibility. You have it's all about this, again, this dark, you're after these evil creatures, these monsters. Like almost kind of Van Helsing, but in a paladin versus like a hunter, ranger kind of guy. He's going to get them and he's going to smite them.
This is true.
We also get some paladin oath spells, and they are
some new spells as well.
Yeah, we also get a couple of new spells, which we will cover toward the end of this. We get Hellish Rebuke, Fairy Fire, Moonbeam, Hold Person, Displacing a Maw, which is one of those new spells, Vampiric Touch, Evard's Black Tentacles, Bone Maiden, which is exactly what you think it's going to be, also a new spell, Contact Other Plane, and Hold Monster.
Then, of course, at level 3, we get our Channel Divinity options. First is Hunt the Prey. As a bonus action, you can call upon the Sanctified Hunt. You designate a creature within 60 feet of you as your prey, marking the target for 1 minute. As part of casting this Channel Divinity, and as a bonus action on subsequent turns, you can magically teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of the marked target. To teleport in this way, you must be able to see the marked target. Then your second option on here, Stolen Eldritch Gift. As a bonus action, you use your Channel Divinity to enhance your body beyond your mortal limits. For 10 minutes, you can add your Charisma modifier to any athletics, acrobatics, and perception checks that you make. So you get your designated combat and your designated roleplay stuff on there.
At level 7, we get Sharpened Senses. You have a blind sight out to a range of 10 feet. Within that range, you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you're blinded or in darkness. Moreover, within that range, no creature can hide from you. At 18th levels, this range increases to 30 feet.
Yeah, so some definitely ways to track down some stuff, even if they're... it says even if they're hiding, they cannot hide, so you just see them. Even if they rolled like a 30 stealth.
Doesn't matter.
You see them.
Doesn't matter.
So, cool stuff on there. Then we have Find Weakness at 15. You've learned to read your prey to find any flaws they might possess. When you deal damage to a creature, you learn any damage resistances, immunities, or vulnerabilities that it has. In addition, whenever you use your Hunt the Prey Channel Divinity, you can make a single weapon attack against the marked target when you reappear as part of the same bonus action. Alright, so bonus action teleport attack. Seems solid to me.
Understand.
Before we get on to the capstone ability and the 2 new spells on here, just want to give a little bit more information about this Kickstarter. As I said, it is more of a dark, grim dark kind of horror setting.
Every bit of it.
If you've played, Dark Souls or Elden Ring or any of that kind of stuff on here.
Read H.P. Lovecraft.
There you go. You're going to have a decent idea to the kind of theme and feel of this setting.
Absolutely.
All that being said, there's a new madness system with 100+ insane flaws and boons. We have unique lunar phases mechanic, which can comprise of multiple different events, altering the scenarios to play in.
Probably my favorite thing about the entire thing is it plays with lunar phases of the moon. That's interesting. I like that.
Yes. And then, of course, 4 adventures, because why not? More than 12+ twisted race options, 15+ nightmarish subclasses.
Yeah, you heard that.
This is just one of the many in here. 20+ fully illustrated trick weapons and expanded firearm options. So if you get the kind of like steampunky feel as well in the dark setting.
Van Helsing and silver bullets and stuff.
Yep. And then 50+ fearsome foes, macabre monsters, fallen comrades, spawns of the old ones. Just a surefire way to craft a bloody gothic adventure with your friends.
Yes.
So definitely a very interesting, thematic, dark setting that you should definitely be on the lookout for. Won't be disappointed with this one, guys. Looks really good from all the stuff that we've seen so far. So
Yeah.
check out the link down below to get access to that Kickstarter and check it out today.
Onto our Paladin capstone at level 20. As always, you become the perfect hunter. You're the embodiment of the Eldritch Hunt. None can get in your way of your kill. You activate the power of the true hunter as a bonus action. For 1 minute, you gain the following benefits. You become invisible. Okay. All right. You cannot be grappled, restrained, or paralyzed. Not advantage against. You are immune to those conditions altogether. Your weapon attacks deal an additional 1d8 necrotic damage, which bypasses resistance. Not immunity, but it does bypass resistance. And once you use a feature, can't use again, finish with long rest, as is most Paladin capstones. So you become, again, the perfect hunter. You are invisible, much less likely to be CC, and you deal extra necrotic damage, which you get to ignore resistance. Sounds good.
I'll take it any day.
Yes.
And then for the new spells, first up we have Displacing Maw. This is honestly, this is some of our favorite part of the whole
This is actually my favorite thing about the whole subclass and the 2 new spells.
So 3rd level Conjuration, Displacing Maw, casting time 1 action, 10-foot range, so you gotta be close.
Yep.
It is instantaneous. Your rib cage opens up violently, trying to devour an enemy within range. Creature must succeed a strength save or be devoured by the maw formed by your rib bones, taking 4d8 piercing damage and being transported through magic to a point of your choice on the ground within 60 feet of you, where the maw reappears and regurgitates them. On success, they take half damage and are not transported. And then if you upcast it using a spell slot of 4th level or higher, damage increases by 1d8 and teleport range by 10 feet for each spell slot above 3rd level. So an interesting way to deal some damage, but the utility of being able to move.
You're forcefully moving somebody else. Like you can, if you choose to target down and run down a caster, and then teleport him right next to your barbarian, so he can just meat smash him.
Yeah, for sure,
absolutely. And then, I love this thing. It's Bone Maiden, which is a level 4 conjuration, which it does specify in here that this is going to be available to Warlock and Wizard.
Yeah, same with this Displacing Maw as well, yes.
But this subclass is going to get it as well. Right. It is a casting time of 1 action, a range of 60 feet, and a duration of up to 10 minutes, and it does not require concentration, might I add. A target in range must succeed a charisma saving throw. Love that. This is going to sound kind of familiar at start. Mm-hmm. Or be banished inside an Iron Maiden of bone that appears in its space. They are considered restrained and incapacitated, immune to all damage coming from the outside. They take 2d6 piercing damage at the start of each of their turns as spikes of bone dig into their body. At the end of each of their turns, a trapped creature can repeat the saving throw, escaping on a success. The Bone Maiden has an AC of 13, but 80 hit points, and is immune to psychic and poison damage, and vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. If the Maiden is destroyed, the creature trapped inside is freed.
Yeah,
so it's banishment, like level 4 spell normally, but they actually take damage every turn.
Yes, it's an alternative to banishment, and there's some damage that is dealt every single turn. There's no concentration for you, but the Maiden can be broken from the outside. So if they have allies or whatever, there's ways for them to break out of it.
But I will specify...
It's an interesting alternative.
Yes, right. So it can be broken, but if, the entire, enemies you're fighting spends their entire round
always
breaking them back out, worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Freaking worth it.
So very interesting. I love the concept and flavor of that, for sure. So, all that being said, those are all the abilities and new spells gained in the subclass. So, we'll move on to the rating portion of the video. First up is the roleplay value asterisk, as always. We're talking about roleplay. We're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside of the initiative order.
That's right.
Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background. That's on you as a player. We can't rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in the subclass, how they might improve your potential in those roleplay scenarios.
Huzzah.
So, all that being said on here, guys... In the roleplay.
Yes.
With the spells, they are pretty combat focused on here.
Yes.
Most of these are going to, be dealing damage or hurting your friends on here.
Or putting them in other planes of existence inside a Bone Maiden.
So, there is that. But you have some great Channel Divinity roleplay options, well, primarily option, with the second one on here, which is going to be giving you just a flat bonus to a couple of different ability checks on here, one of which is Perception, which is huge, and does last for 10 minutes. So, pretty solid. It is Charisma modifier, though, so You're a half caster because it's not going to be your best stat. You're probably going strength con for the most part. So it's going to be decent on their bonus, but a bonus is a bonus. I'll take it any day.
That's correct.
The blind sight can definitely be helpful, though it is a small range until level 18.
As with most Paladin auras.
Right, but again, if you're playing a Paladin, you're probably going to be leaning towards a top-heavy campaign setting, usually because they do get a lot of their bigger stuff at later levels.
Yep.
Not the best early game, but very strong late game with this.
They usually get a very impactful level 15 ability. Their aura kicks up at 18, and their capstone at 20 makes them usually bonkers for a minute in some capacity. No exception here.
Yeah, so it can definitely come into play if you're trying to track stuff down or find things, or people are trying to spy on you. You're like, nope, I see you no matter what.
Yep.
So that is definitely helpful in the roleplay circumstances. Maybe a little bit niche on there. Yep. And then the knowledge of enemies is niche as well because you have to deal damage. But I mean, you could slap somebody, hit him with, you just deal minor damage and still learn about somebody. So there is some niche circumstances as well to get access to that information. So all that being said, we went with a 3 out of 5 for the role play. Some interesting options on here, but they skew a little bit more on the niche side of things. And of course, the tenants give you some more flavor on there and thematic direction for the class.
Yeah, when we first saw the artwork that came through on this, I had a hard time to realize, like, okay, it's the Paladin Oath of the Eldritch Hunt, but like, where is the actual Paladin? Because the artwork they chose, it's definitely one of the twisted race options that's in there, so it looks almost like an evil Paladin to a certain extent, which totally probably could be played as one from the way this campaign is set. But it looks incredible. And immediately like, okay, this is terrifying. I don't want to ever encounter this thing, ever. But, so, with the spell list starting out, obviously you're getting things like Hellish Rebuke, Fairy Fire to get around stealth, things like that, hurt them back at earlier levels, great. Moonbeam, fine. And then you get into stuff like Hold Person, Hold Monster. Gotta love those as a martial class, because if you do get the holds, you're going to just get in there and just annihilate.
Yep.
I will, every time we talk about Paladins, almost every time, crit confirmed, hit confirmed smites are a thing, and they are one of the most satisfying things in 5th edition. When you're just like, oh, I got a crit, let me just choose to do like 4 times my normal damage now that it's going to happen. And then Black Tentacles and Vampiric Touch, very on theme, AoE, an AoE spell, and then a healing based spell. And those 2 new spells, both are, one is very interesting and definitely has a use with Displacing Maul being able to do some damage and forcibly teleport something away. The strength saving throw is the one thing I'm just kind of like,
it can be hit or miss depending on creatures.
Especially later on, as Paladins usually tend to excel better in late game stuff, but you can maybe try to jump on a caster and teleport them because you probably won't have as good of a strength saving throw.
Yeah, or like a more agile target.
Yeah.
So strong.
But the Bone Maiden thing I just absolutely love because it's the same level as casting Banishment, but they're actually taking damage every turn, and yes, they can be brought back sooner by somebody breaking the cage, but it doesn't cost you concentration either. Right. So it's a modified it's a modified banishment that I really, really love in terms of flavor and effectiveness. Your Channel Divinity Hunt the Prey definitely gives you a chance to choose to be an absolute nightmare for someone because they think, oh, I'm going to Misty Step away from you. Okay, I'm basically going to Misty Step right back to your behind, and I'm going to keep tearing you up. Fantastic. Because, again, that's what normal martial classes, Paladin, Barbarian, Fighter, Monk, things like that, normally they struggle with is keeping up with somebody running it down. This, at least at one person per short rest with your Channel Divinity, you can really run somebody down.
For sure.
Blindsight is good. The only problem is with that short range of 10 feet starting off, as with, again, almost all Paladin auras. But the fact that they cannot hide from you, you always see them as long as they're not behind total cover, so even partial cover, half cover, any of that kind of stuff. It's just now you know exactly where they're at within that range, especially once it hits 18 and anything that you can see or is now anything inside your normal movement speed, you know where everything is all the time. Fantastic. The Find Weakness thing I absolutely love because it doesn't say you learn a damage resistance, immunity. You learn everything there is to know about this thing as soon as you hit it in terms of what you shouldn't be hitting it with or what you should be hitting it with damage type-wise, because vulnerabilities are very rare because if you find out something has a vulnerability, you can really delete it. But when it does come up and you now all of a sudden, oh, this thing's actually vulnerable to radiant damage, oh, sweet mercy.
Yeah.
Bye. You're now dead. It's fantastic. And then when you use the Hunt to Prey as your Channel Divinity option, which is, I love the fact they're giving it a scaling later on. So you can, when you do teleport to something and run it down, you can get that extra attack on that single target. Fantastic. And then there's the capstone. You're a paladin. You have a bonkers capstone almost all the time with your subclass. This is for sure the case here because you become invisible. So you're much harder to hit with stuff.
Yep, and you hit better.
And you hit better. You do more damage. And you're much less likely to be CC because you can't be grappled, restrained, or paralyzed. And some of them, which I don't know why this is, but some paladins, it takes an action to activate their crazy mode. This is a bonus action. So on the first turn, you can bonus action, become invisible, and then just watch the panic ensue. Because you're like, okay, this thing's beating us for a couple of turns in combat. Maybe it's your first turn. You're like, okay, this sorcerer's lobbed in something. Okay, the barbarian's about to come crash. Okay, what's this other guy going to do? It's like, where'd he go?
Predator mode.
Yeah, so I had this scored probably a little too low, and Jameson had to kind of remind me, like, this is kind of a paladin problem in general, is everything just kind of comes on the line late, which is true. Almost all paladin subclasses start off kind of low because they just don't get many abilities in general. They get their chain abilities at 3.
From subclass, yeah.
Yeah, from their subclass, obviously, because their base class is one of the better base classes, in our humble opinion. And then when you hit 15 on up,
become a monster.
Because you're getting a good ability at 15, you're getting your buffed aura at 18, and then your capstone at 20, you get a little wild. With all that, and with the new spells this gets access to, and the spell list in general, you're getting access to with the holds and everything else, we gave this a 4 out of a possible 5 on the combat side of things, as it really leans into the title of the subclass extremely well, as you're going to be the bane of existence for whatever you choose to make the target of your ire.
Right. So then moving on to synergy on here as well. Making things the target of your ire is really the theme and flavor of this, and it really does it really well. So when you do go on to stuff and you mark them and you're hunting them down, they can't escape you. You can see them. You can chase them down.
And they can't see you. Once you get 20, they can't see.
Right. So you're getting a lot of mobility, a lot of utility. Yep. And that's going to really help with, especially the capstone, is going to really help with your defensive and offensive capabilities. And, of course, the blindside aura, and I think it's really going to be able to sneak up on you, at least close to you. Sneak up close. From a distance, they can. But up close, you're going to know. And with the capstone invisibility, I mean, you're getting a lot of stuff on here that's really potent. The only thing with it on here is there's a lot of focus on the marked target, and you can only mark one target per short rest.
Yeah.
But that thing that is marked is going to be really having a hard time, especially with you, if anybody else. I mean, you're going to be hunting them down hardcore.
And especially if you happen to find something that isn't like high armor class that you can just start wailing on and watching their health bar just go. Meep.
So the only thing, again, with that is once you kind of hit and annihilate your target, you're going to be a little bit more back down to
base paladin
a little bit.
Yeah.
Most times. Now, certain things with the blind sight are going to have a big impact, or finding weakness can come into play, as Alex was talking about. And, of course, the capstone.
Yeah, once you hit 15 on up, you get to be more bonkers all the time.
That being said, very potent. Give it a 4 out of 5 in the synergy. So you do what you do really, really well. But once you've done that, you kind of lose a little bit of your utility.
Yeah, you got to have this interesting like little roller coaster throughout the day. Is like, oh, I got a short rest. Game on. Okay, I've done my thing. Oh, we got a short rest, boy. You're basically you and warlocks become best friends with each other. Yeah, because they want their spell slots back. And you want to get that chain of divinity back so you can just really go chase after something. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely very thematic. Love the flavor of this as well. With
freaking
more on the dark side. We don't see a whole lot of the dark fantasy stuff quite as much. And a lot of the stuff we've reviewed has not been like that. In fact, a lot of it's been the opposite.
It's just like the dark fantasy is the warlock.
Yeah, can be for sure. Yeah. So it's nice to see something a little bit more on the dark side of things from here. So make sure, again, guys, check out this Kickstarter. Love working with these guys. All the stuff that we've seen, this is just one of the things we've seen that we've shared. All the stuff that's been shared with us is looking really cool, really interesting. So definitely don't want to miss out on this one, especially if you're fans of dark horror, dark fantasy.
The Witcher. If you're a Witcher fan, this is definitely right up your alley for sure. This is kind of what this feels like. It doesn't have like the potions and stuff, Witcher, but it's in that same fantasy for sure.
Yeah, so check this out, guys. You're gonna definitely enjoy this stuff if you're a fan of this kind of setting. The art is great. The setting, I think, is very unique. So worth a look at the very least, guys. I'll have links down below to the Kickstarter. So, help them out. Help us out. Everybody's happy. So if you enjoyed the video, remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you know when our new videos are coming out. And as always, thanks for watching.